Hello, welcome to Talking Europe on France 24. I'm Catherine Nicholson. Now, your first years of being an adult are supposed to be a time for having fun, making your first steps on the career ladder and moving out of your parents' house. But for many Europeans under the age of 25, this pandemic has flattened a lot of dreams, ambitions and opportunities. Jobs destroyed, studies put online or on hold, and 3 million of the EU's under 25s officially unemployed by the end of 2020. That's almost 18%. Now, there are plans and there is money available to reboot European economies. In fact, jobs and social issues are one of the priorities for Portugal as it holds the EU presidency until the end of June. Our question on this programme today: will the young people of today pay a disproportionate price for the COVID crisis in their careers, their earning potential and their life prospects? I'm joined here in the studio by two members of the European Parliament. We have from Italy, Brando Benifei from the Socialists and Democrats group. Hello there.
Hi, hello.
And you headed up the Youth Intergroup in the previous European Parliament as well.
Yeah.
So I know this is a topic that interests you. And we have with us from Germany, MEP STEFAN BERGER from the European People's Party, a member of the Committee on Economic Affairs and currently involved in homeschooling. Yeah. A little one as well, so you're well versed in some of the problems. I just want to start off though with this youth unemployment situation. 3 million unemployed under 25s around the EU. Brando Benifei, in Italy, youth unemployment is at 30% of that group. Do you agree with those who say that the EU is facing a lost generation?
Well, we have this risk because many young people in Europe have faced a recurring crisis, also looking at what happened 9-10 years ago. And in fact, also in countries where unemployment of youth is lower, you see stagnating wages and sometimes you have mini jobs and these kind of things. So we are seeing a situation today where the recovery efforts need really to be direction to guarantee permanent training and opportunities to re-enter the labour market as soon as possible. We otherwise will have a lost generation.
So there's a possibility of one. STEFAN BERGER, I'd like to come to you. The European Commission has pledged that 22 billion euros from this massive EU recovery fund will be dedicated specifically to tackling youth unemployment. Now, that sounds like a huge amount of money, 22 billion euros, but then we think, well, there's 27 member states, 3 million people involved here. There was a recent paper from the Bruegel Institute that said that this isn't enough money. Do you agree?
I think the European Commission has reacted in a very clever and intelligent way. And let me first answer your first question. One can see the many problems which are combined with the COVID-19 thing, and we can see it in every country, in every city, in every town. The many different problems combined with it. And I think it's maybe not the right terminology to talk about lost generation. Maybe it's a lockdown generation. Maybe this is a better term to talk about. And I think, and I can agree, the pandemic steals opportunities in education and in job careers. So for me, it's very necessary and important that Europe, the politics in Europe is closing this gap. And I think the European Commission has acted with a program SURE and acted with a next generation EU thing. And these two programs are the first right step to close the gap of problems and to make sure that opportunities are still there.
Brando Benifei, I'd like to put the same question to you. Is this enough money and do you see it being put in the right places?
I have to say that the amount of money can be enough or not, depending if we connect all the opportunities. Obviously, I have been seeing in all the member states pushes to strengthen in the recovery plans that we are now building with the Next Generation EU, with the structural funds, more resources for fighting youth unemployment. I think this is the right track. We will go down this track. The Parliament is pushing in this direction because if we use all the money, not just that money you mentioned of the Next Generation EU, but all the resources there, we can really reform our employment services and we can support stronger social partner negotiations so that also wages can rise. Because let's not forget that too many young people are paid in an inadequate way. Too many people are doing internships with almost no money all over Europe. And this is not something that can be acceptable.
And maybe I can add something. The program SURE, it's about 100 billion euros. And SURE is about to mitigate unemployment risks in an emergency situation. And for example, Italy gets in the first step 10 billion euros for this problem. So I think it's enough money for this topic. And if you add the Next Generation Euro program, you have 750 billion euros
In total.
In
For lots
total,
of
and
different things.
50-50 grants and loans.
Yeah, but it's true.
Let me say the last sentence maybe. It's not only about wages. It's about making the right investments in Europe and use the money in a very intelligent manner to give young people a future opportunity.
Yeah, I want to say that apart from the money specifically for youth employment and youth support in the inclusion pillar of the recovery plan, we have to say that also sustainability part and innovation and digitalization part can be used to support young people's jobs. So in fact, the whole of the Next Generation EU, the whole of the 750 billion, if the member states will plan correctly, can be used to boost opportunities for young people.
Okay, I'd like to talk about another aspect that we mentioned about education. Stefan Berger, I mentioned that you're involved in homeschooling a little one at the moment. Education's been disrupted for millions of pupils, students, universities, all sorts. There's actually been a warning from the UK's Institute for Fiscal Studies in the last few days saying that this lack of traditional schooling, even if it's continuing online for many of them, it's damaged earning potential of those children by around 50,000 euros over their whole career. We know there are already inequalities. Is this being adequately taken into account at this point? Should there perhaps be some emergency funding right now, perhaps for things like laptops?
This is one of the most important questions. As you mentioned, I have a 6-year-old daughter sitting at home and in the first class, and she's getting online, so something online, and she gets some papers from the teachers. And as you can imagine, there are no other kids around her. There are no professional teachers to explain the things. And for me, the next step should be, when the lockdown is over and it stops, then we need a new program to work and to close the deficit. Not going to business as usual. We have to develop new ways of education to close the gap.
It will be important to use also what happened, because on one hand, I agree completely. I've seen my nephews. I have two nephews in the middle and the other one starting high school that are in the same situation of this homeschooling. And I think that we can learn from this experience also how to integrate more digital instruments, distance learning into the traditional school. This is what also students are saying. This is what teachers are saying, but this needs training and needs to be creative in how we find opportunities from what we have been living in. But I agree that the traditional schooling in presence needs to be restored as soon as possible.
And just on a related note, there's a lot of talk at the moment generally about vaccines, how much vaccine there is, who's getting those vaccines. Do you believe that, considering the problems with education and keeping schools open, should states be vaccinating teachers as a priority to keep schools open?
Yeah, I have the idea that we should look at the efficacy of vaccines because some of the vaccines are not still with high percentages of reliability. So we could use them also to start with younger generations. And also I consider teachers to be absolutely essential to be vaccinated before. So I think this is something...
Depending on the evidence.
Yeah, I think this should be explored, and it's not done enough in the debate today.
Yeah, in Germany, for example, we have a vaccine commission, and we have a clear agreement which group of people should get the vaccine first. And for me, it's obvious that teachers and doctors and medical and people and etc. should get it first, just to avoid the problems you mentioned.
Okay, I've just got one last question, about 1 minute to get both of your points of view on this. Looking back to the 2008 financial crisis, now that saw youth unemployment go from 16% in the EU to 26%, and it took a decade for that figure to come back down to 16% again. Just want to ask both of you, do you believe that it will take this long to get over this crisis? Stefan Berger first.
No, I do not think so, because you cannot compare the COVID crisis and the financial crisis. It is a crisis, of course, but the way out is taking or making the right invests. And I think the EU has reacted in a good way, and it's for the member states important and necessary to make good investments for the future.
I do not think it will also end up like that case of the previous crisis, because the reaction by the EU was very different. And with the recovery plan, we finally decided to put all our economic and social weight together to restore confidence and restart the economy.
All right, thanks both of you for taking part in our programme. Thanks to you as well for watching Talking Europe. Hope to see you soon for more discussions here on France 24.